Hello, my name is Reese Everly Lawless, and this is Reese Reacts. For those of you who don't know me, I'm an author of gay romance and fantasy, and I'm also a big, big nerd. Um, this is my spoiler review for Thor: Love and Thunder, so if you haven't watched the movie or you don't want to be spoiled, just leave. Leave now. If, however, you have watched the movie or you don't care about spoilers, and because I know some people actually love spoilers because it makes them want to watch the movie more, and absolutely, sometimes I am one of those people when it comes to these movies. I hate being spoiled, so you have been warned. Right, so if you haven't watched my non-spoiler review, that's absolutely fine. I'm going to touch on all the topics again, but this time with context. And so I went to watch Thor: Love and Thunder 2 days ago, and I absolutely loved it. It was epic. It was fun. It was funny. It was colorful, vibrant. It was a beautiful film. And there are so many things that I loved about it that I had to make a list, and then I had to remake it, and then remake it, and add things, and take things, and redo it, because there are so many things that I want to discuss. And this movie brought me so much joy. After 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 the last few movies kind of disappointed me, I didn't know what to expect. So I went in with no expectations, or very little expectations. I knew I was going to be watching a Taika Waititi film, and I knew I was going to be watching a Taika Waititi Thor film. So those were my only expectations, and boy, did they deliver. It was incredible. It was incredible. And I will list the reasons why right now. So instead of doing just the good and the bad, like I did in the non-spoiler review video, I'm going to be doing a list of things, and I'm going to be talking about the good and the bad while I talk about this long list. So first, I'm going to talk about the themes. And if you watch my non-spoiler review, I talked about circles and how things come full circle in this movie. Well, of course, when I was talking about that, I was talking about Jane Foster's character and her arc. I think this is a theme in Phase 4 in general, because we have seen it with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, with how they try to close that circle of Christine and Strange. And I really enjoyed that. I absolutely enjoyed that. And the fact that Jane comes back, it's like she never left. She fits in so well in Taika's vision of the movie, of Thor. And I think she was very underutilized in the first two movies, and she was very much the damsel in distress. And this time she comes back, all guns are blazing. She is powerful. She's beautiful. She is funny, and I think the fact that the romance between her and Thor never really went out, and we explore that and how it comes full circle, and they admit to each other that they love each other, and that they make the choice of wanting to be together again, even despite everything and all the odds being against them. I thought that was beautiful. And in a way, in that way I didn't mind that Dr. Jane Foster died. And if you haven't watched the movie and I just spoiled you, what the hell is wrong with you? I think that they did such an excellent job with her cancer storyline, and how it fit into the story, and how it fit into this bigger arc in the movie. And in that way, I feel that it is good that she's gone, because now Thor can move on, especially after the little mini version of him that they gave him, right? So I think he can finally move on and be the responsible Thor that opens up his heart to people again, because he's been hurt so many times and so much that he stopped trusting, he stopped opening up his heart. He became this machine basically that protected people, and he forgot how to to use his heart, and I love that part. However, I do hate that she's gone as well, because you can't just give us Mighty Thor and get rid of her. Thankfully, was it the second? I think it was the second post-credit scene gives some clues about what happens with her next, and I'm going to talk about it later. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed this full coming of circle to the character of Thor with his romance with Jane. I don't know if it's over between them yet, but we'll see. The second element of love, and the power of love and what it does to someone. It was such a strong theme throughout the movie, and obviously it's in the title, and I absolutely loved that. And I loved that we got a personification of love in the little basically Chris Hemsworth's daughter. That's who she is. I didn't know it at the time. I didn't expect that. When I went into the movie, I had watched like a non-spoiler opinion on the movie, and I thought maybe Thor would turn into the God Butcher himself, and I thought that would be an interesting take on the character. You know, turning on people, turning on his own kind. I think that would have made such a very powerful statement. But they didn't, and that's absolutely fine. We can explore that in a what if, hopefully, maybe, I don't know. Um, I absolutely loved the ending because, oh my god, it felt like I was watching Robert Downey Jr. with his MCU daughter. What was her name? Oh, Morgan, with Morgan in Endgame. It was so touching and so beautiful and so realistic, and I think it adds a more human touch to the character, and it gives him a reason to exist a little bit, doesn't it? Because he's lost someone he loves in Jane, and he gets someone else. He gets someone else to love that can't be harmed because she's got the power of a god. And I'm going to talk about love later on as well, and who I think might the character be if she's inspired by the comic books. And bear in mind, I don't really read the comic books anymore. I go through phases, so I don't know much. When I watched it, I thought, oh wow, I think maybe is this that character? I'll tell you, later on. And and I love that love was that link between Thor and Gore, and that thing that that linked them together. And also because both Thor and Gore are very similar. They lost loved ones, and they became the same in a way. Gore lost his daughter, Thor lost everyone, billions and trillions of people basically, and they stopped loving and they became machines with a mission. And both Thor's and Gore's mission was to protect. They did it. They went about it in different ways, but they both wanted to protect the people. They both wanted to protect the innocent, and I think that's such an interesting commentary to be made. And that's why I thought we needed more of Gore. I think getting rid of him was probably not the wisest choice. But then again, we've got the multiverse opening and Secret Wars and all that, so hopefully that means he'll come back in a capacity. And I do understand why they had to get rid of him to give Thor love at the end, because I think obviously if he lived, he wouldn't have got the little daughter that he has, the little niece, as she calls him, Uncle Thor. Um, so yeah, I think in terms of thematically, this movie was beautiful, and there's a lot of things to discuss there, and a lot of elements that speak true to the real world and to the nature of the characters. And there's I mean, just that alone, Thor and Gore's connection and how similar, eerily similar they are in terms of who they are and who they became when they lost their loved ones, is very eerie, and it's worth exploring more of. Um, Next up, representation, or as I put it in my notes, representation, baby. And yes, they really did go there. Valkyrie is confirmed as bisexual, lesbian, pansexual. She's queer, and we are here for it. She did not get a romantic interest, but she talked about it, and that was such a, and she showed it as well. When she kissed the hand of that of Zeus's court lady. I don't know what they're called. That was just, I watched it and I was like, oh my god, this is just gorgeous. And then when they actually talked about it and her losing her loved one, beautiful, beautiful. And that's why she needs her queen. She is gorgeous, and she needs her queen. And I don't know if that queen needs to be Captain Marvel or someone else, but I absolutely adored that moment. Those moments of Valkyrie just openly being queer, and not just Valkyrie, but Korg being queer with her, and the fact that basically Korg's or the are they called Cronins? I can't remember. They are basically homosexual, because I don't know if they've got another gender, but they basically are gay, and they create babies out of lava and rocks. So I absolutely love that. When Cork said, my dad's, I was like, oh my freaking god, what? And then at the end, when he met his own partner, I don't remember his name, I think he was called Steve. Maybe I'm wrong, but if he was, that's quite funny. So I love that Korg is now canonically, and Valkyrie are canonically queer, and the character of Axel, oh, what's his name? Heimdall's son, Heimdall's daughter, who now goes by Axel and is a trans boy and training to be an Asgardian. It is just incredible. I love that moment, and I know that that scene where Axel uses Heimdall's gift that he also has to communicate with Thor. It was a little bit awkward as because Thor was like, no, your name is Astrid, your father named you after one of our best warriors and is disrespectful to him. And then I thought that back and forth, Axel, Astrid, Axel, Astrid, was a little bit disrespectful, but then again, Thor probably didn't understand what was going on. And I think that's a conversation that trans people have to have a lot with people that surround them, and it can be exhausting. But at the end, he was embraced for who he was. Everyone called him Axel, and he was accepted. And I love that. I love that inclusivity. Taika Waititi went balls deep, and excuse the expression, balls deep with a queer rep in this movie, and I absolutely love it. I can't wait to see what they do with it in the future and how much more they can give us. Because yes, being in the room is good, but what would be better if we were actually taking control of the action and we were at the forefront. But that doesn't discount the fact that this movie is repping hard, and I absolutely loved it, and I want more of it. And I, just like I said in my non-spoiler review, I don't feel like every movie has to have us at the forefront. Just having us being part of the room is important, and that's what this movie does a lot. And I can't wait to. I want to see Taika do a Valkyrie movie where she finds her queen, and I am here for it, and I want it, and I want it, and I need it now. So please give her own movie. If you work for Marvel, I doubt it, but if any of you watching work for Marvel, please give her own movie. She deserves it. She dominates the screen. In terms of the cast, I'm not going to talk about them again because I did talk about them in the non-spoiler review. But just to recap, Thor slash Chris Hemsworth, amazing, excellent performance, very well done. Jane Foster slash Natalie Portman, she's so talented, great comeback. She's got such amazing comedic timing. I didn't expect it. And however, that I didn't mention in the non-spoiler review, her face at some points felt deep faked. It felt very retouched, and I'm not sure if they were trying to make her look younger when she was in Mighty Thor form, or what was going on, or if maybe she's just had some plastic surgery. I don't know, or maybe she just looks stunning. But at certain moments, it felt like she was deep faked, like they imposed her face on her own head, and I'm not sure what happened there. Also, when she said, if you can't call me Mighty Thor, call me Dr. Jane Foster, that was such a strong moment when at the end, and oh my god, I felt that. I felt that moment. It was beautiful, and I love that they went there. It doesn't matter who Mighty Thor is, she's still her own, she still has an identity with or without the hammer, and I absolutely love that. And in general, her storyline with her cancer and how she became worthy of Mjolnir, that was so well done. And then of course, she died in this film, and she went to Valhalla. I thought when the movie finished, before the end credit, the post credit scenes, I thought that's it for Dr. Jane Foster. The only chance we get to see her again is probably in Secret Wars, or in a multiversal war. But then they showed her in Valhalla. And after watching Ms. Marvel, Moon Knight, Black Panther, Doctor Strange, I feel like, Valhalla is another plane of existence. And if the incursions work between universes and between dimensions, I think she will be seen again in Secret Wars, and it will be the same Jane. Because I don't know if you watched Ms. Marvel episode 5, or episode 4, excuse me, where they showed how the Nor dimension would take over planet Earth if the veil was opened. And I thought, that the Nor dimension is kind of like the Valhalla dimension, because it's another plane of existence. It's like the Sandovari, the afterlife in Moon Knight. I can't remember the names. I'm sorry, guys. My recollection with these things is awful. Or the Black Panther. What's it called? Ancestor realm. Those are different planes of existence, but they still exist. They can still be accessed, and that's why I don't think it's not the end for Dr. Jane Foster. And I can't wait I can't wait to see what they do with her next. In terms of Korg, Valkyrie slash Tessa Thompson was incredible in this movie. She dominates the role, and she needs her own movie. I've said it like 100 times, and I love that she's queer, and it's canon. Moving on to Korg, I love him. I love uh, his queer status. But I'm not sure how the dismemberment worked. First of all, when it happened, when he was dismembered, I didn't feel the sting of losing him. It felt, and it didn't feel funny either. It just felt like, oh, okay. So, and I don't know how that worked. It's the moment that Thor became angry and killed Zeus, or we thought killed Zeus. So I wish they'd taken some time to make it more dramatic, because it didn't feel that. And then at the end, Cork had his body again, and he was with his boyfriend, and I wasn't sure how that happened. I wish they'd explained that a little bit more. But they didn't, which is absolutely fine. It's not the end of the world. In terms of gore, like I said in my non-spoiler review, I expected some more god butchering. I felt he was fantastic in the role, but he felt restrained. Like maybe he was too humanized, and I think because the gore in the comic books is more alien-like, and I think I would have liked to see a little bit more of that. I think maybe he was made too human, but maybe that's the effect of not having him on screen as much as I would have hoped so, or not having him on screen doing important stuff. Because they gave him some moments where with the children and all that, but it didn't feel as intense as it could have. I think because he was such a sinister character, he would have felt even more sinister if you had seen him god butchering. So in the beginning, when they get all these distress calls for him basically murdering all those gods, I wish they'd given us an actual scene of him murdering another god or a few gods, because they showed him murdering the first one, his god, but then nothing after that. Also, now that I think about it, the whole gold blood with the gods that's a very interesting take, and I'm not sure where it came from because I'm pretty sure Thor has bled before and he has bled red. So are they trying to tell us that some gods bleed gold and some bleed different? I I know they probably did it because it was visually stunning to watch, especially that moment where Valkyrie just lets herself shower in gold blood. But I wish we had a little bit of an explanation or a system, or how does it work, or that maybe they could change it so that even Thor would bleed gold, but they didn't give us that, so I don't know what to expect, what if that had any significance other than the visual element of it. In terms of Zeus, I liked what's the name of the actor? I liked Russell Crowe, and he was very good in the role. He was very funny, but at the same time, I didn't care for him. He was a bit too comedic at times, and I don't know. He lacked that dominance that I would expect Zeus to have. But I did like his take on a Greek accent. It was funny. I'm not entirely sure if it's a Greek accent or an Italian accent or a mix of the two. I was trying to define it, but I couldn't because he had such a small part that I didn't have enough time to. So I'll probably have to rewatch it to figure out if his accent is actually Greek or if he went with more of an Italian or I don't know because it sounded very familiar, but at the same time I don't know if it was entirely Greek. And to be fair, it is a hard accent to do. So if he didn't do it, then that's fine. But I'll figure it out at a later point. And as for the character of Love, played by India Hemsworth, Chris Hemsworth's daughter, she was beautiful. She was promising and exciting. She was very good in the role, and I really liked watching her on screen. She's so cute, so adorable, and I can't wait to see what they do with her next. She reminded me of a character from the comic books, and even though I don't read the comic books really, and I haven't read the comic books that this character appears in, when I saw the reflection in the water of Love, she looked like the eternity goddess or celestial being, whatever she was, I can't remember. She looked like the character of Singularity from the comic books, and I looked it up yesterday, and it turns out Singularity, we don't know where she came from as a character, but she appeared in A-Force after the Secret Wars, and she had these plot lines. She had these arcs, and we never really found out where she came from or what her story is. But the fact that the reflection in the water looked like Singularity makes me think that maybe that's the route they will take, and I am here for it. If that's the character they are recreating, I am here for it, and I love it. If, on the other hand, she's a new original character, then I don't mind. I don't mind, but it'd be an interesting. It'd be interesting to see where they go with it and what their plan is. Not just with India, with Love, but also with Thor and Love, and how they're going to appear in future movies. So that's going to be interesting. Um, the last thing about her, in the end, when they run into the to save the people, I would have loved to see her power up in a costume, even if it was not the temporary, even if it was just a temporary costume, if it was just like a replica of Thor's costume or whatever. I would have loved to see the power up. I would have loved to see her be like in a costume, because I think that would have made her. No, I just would want. I would have loved to see it. It doesn't matter, but I would have. I thought it was going to happen. Then they kind of cut. So I thought, okay, that's fine. We'll wait until the next movie. And let me tell you, I can't wait for movie 5. If Thor 5 is happening, it can't come quick enough. In terms of Taika Waititi, like I said, he's funny, he's fun. I love his work. I've watched a few things he's done, and he is a very talented creator. Um, but at times he was way too funny, and I think at the times when, like, especially like the dark times, it took away from them a little. Like when Thor and Jane were sharing a moment out in the ship, um, they it felt like they were leaning a lot on the he was leaning a lot on the funny, and comedy is part of reality as much as the dark times, and I love how he crosses the line between the two. But it felt like certain moments we needed more. We needed the characters to be more serious, and they weren't. So that was my take on the movie in terms of Taika Waititi's vision. That it was too much Taika, not enough MCU in terms of how it was executed. So, and like I said in my non-spoiler review, it felt like I was watching a performance sometimes, like I was watching one of the plays in New Asgard. And I can't tell you exactly where, but I think it's probably when the shadow creatures appeared when Gore attacked them. I think those moments and afterwards when the kids were abducted, that it felt very theatrical, and I didn't like that. I didn't like those moments. They felt very fake. They felt very performed. And I liked the flashback to their relationship, but again, it felt like I was watching the short movie of Thor rather than an MCU movie. So I think if he was to do Thor 5, they need to take MCU, and Kevin Feige needs to have a little bit more creative control in it so that he doesn't go awry with his vision. And because I don't know, I'm sure that he will do a great work again, but I think he needs to be restrained just a little bit, just so that it doesn't become too irreverent. Um, and in terms of the script, um, I like I said in my non-spoiler review, I love the movie. It felt very touching. It had soul. It had a lot of soul, but we didn't need the Guardians of the Galaxy. I would have preferred to see Gore butchering gods. To be fair, I know we had to see them, but it just felt unnecessary. That battle in the beginning just felt very unnecessary. Again, one of my complaints is that we didn't get to see Gore. Not enough of him. I really love the magic callbacks that they have in this movie from previous movies. All the Thor magic that he does. All magic that his father did, or Loki, and that it comes up again in this movie in new and exciting ways. Like the fact that he cast a spell on Mjolnir to protect Jane, and that's how Jane becomes worthy of the hammer. That was just beautiful. I absolutely loved it. When the triquetra appeared on the hammer, I almost jumped out of my seat. It was so exciting to see. Um, and I loved in the end when he cast a spell on the kids to make them powerful. That was just epic. I felt it was so eerie, that moment, and I loved it. And it felt natural. It felt like I didn't need to understand where it was all coming from, because we have seen it throughout the movies before. But yeah, like I said, once again the villain is terminated on their origin movie, which is not ideal because we can do so much good with these villains, but they always die in the movie they appear in. So what can you do? I don't know. But at the same time, because we didn't see that much of Gore, and it didn't sting. His loss didn't sting as much. If we had gotten a better Gore, if we had gotten a more intense Gore and all of that, then I think, yeah, that would have been a loss. But he gave us love, so whatever. I'm happy to move forward. Now, in terms of the MCU, I think it's getting clearer what the future of the MCU is. And if you haven't watched the movies and if you haven't watched like videos on YouTube about it, it might not be as clear. But the future is cosmic. They went so big with phases 1 to 3. They went so big they eradicated half the population of the universe. So what's the next step? They give us cosmic. So celestial beings, gods, uh, beings above gods, and all those beings, and I think it's becoming crystal clear that they're doing that now. It'll be interesting to see how it's balanced between the grounded heroes in the MCU and how they will come to play. So like Hawkeye, Daredevil, Echo, who else? Even Spider-Man to some degree. Like they are very grounded heroes, very grounded to their own planet, their own city sometimes. So when you have all these cosmic beings, how much do they have to play with? Like how much do they have? How much power will they have to stop things? That's my concern about getting into the cosmic territory of MCU. But it's exciting at the same time. So if Secret Wars is really happening, then I guess that's how. If they do Battle World, I don't know if the Secret Wars and Battle World is the same or similar. But Battle World is quite an epic storyline. So if they do that, then I'll be happy. But if they do Secret Wars, I'll be happy as well. So I can't remember if they're the same thing or if they're two different things. I know Secret Wars happened a couple of times in the comic book, so I can't remember. But yeah, exciting times ahead. And the whole cosmic thing, because we saw Valhalla, that's why I think when it does happen, when the Secret Wars happen or the incursion happens, that we will see all these characters that died again, and hopefully that means we will see Robert Downey Jr. again. But I mean, I know the guy has done so many movies and he's done, but even a cameo would be great. But we'll see where they go with it. I think with all these characters they're introducing, all these cosmic characters they're introducing, it's very crystal clear where they're going. I mean, we have Hercules coming up next, who's going to be like the Greek equivalent of Thor, and how that ties in. I think he's canonically in the comic books bisexual, so that's also exciting, and I hope they explore that a little bit more. I mean, I wouldn't mind if Thor had a little bit of a fling with him. Let's be honest, no one would mind that. And of course, I don't know if you guys caught it, but there was a deity cameo from Namor, the submariner. Because they're with Black Panther, they're going because Namor is going to appear in the movies. In the movie, he is a Mayan. Their island or their culture is Mayan, and they've got their own deities. And the deity of Tepeolotl, I think I pronounced that right. Tepeolotl. He is. I think the patron god of Namor, from what I've seen from leaks and stuff. And he appears. He's sitting literally next to either Bast, the goddess of Black Panther, or like next to Korg. I can't exactly remember, but you can see this big headdress that he had, and that's the character. And I'm pretty sure we're going to see him again in Black Panther. So that was interesting. That was cool for me to catch it because that was like an Easter egg that I shouldn't have known, but because of all these leaks and stuff and things I've read, I knew who he was. And now in terms of other things, Hercules, Brett Goldstein as Hercules. That's an exciting prospect. That's an exciting prospect for the character. I love the actor. He is amazing, and I adore him in Ted Lasso. He's partially who inspired the character of Parker from my upcoming book, Mother Parker. So I love him. But we got such a quick look of him, and I didn't like how he looked, and I didn't like the sound of him. I don't know if he was trying to do a Greek accent too, but because it was only 2 seconds, I couldn't catch it. I can't be sure that's what they were doing. But I'm sure when he comes back, when he appears again next, it will be interesting, and they will have fixed that problem. But for the moment, I'm so into. I love Brett Goldstein, but I'm not sure if I liked the vision that they created for him in the post-credit scene. Children Thor, that element in the final battle, it was gorgeous. It was so touching and epic. And after the latest shooting in America and how those kids, perished, it felt very touching to basically give power to those children that were abducted and they were taken, and it felt eerie and chilling, but also beautiful at the same time to watch, especially knowing what happens in the real world, what happened in the real world, and how these things go usually. Um, the final battle, like I said in my non-spoiler review, I wish it would have been longer and better. I wish they'd done more impressive stuff, like team up kind of power moves, like Thor versus Thor, not Thor versus Thor teaming up with Mighty Thor, and like combining the the impact of their hammers, and some real, they could have done some real power moves, but they didn't, and it wasn't as impressive. It was really good, don't get me wrong, it was very good, and it was very touching that Jane still came even though it meant she would die. But I wish they'd done a bit more. They'd given it the wow factor. Um, and I think that's all for today. I think that's all in terms of my spoiler review. Wow, that was a long talk. But yeah, these were my thoughts. I'm excited for the future of. After this movie, I'm excited for the future of the MCU and for the future of Thor. So I can't wait to see what happens next, and I can't wait to see Thor in love again, especially. So yeah, that's all. That's all. Those are all my thoughts. What did you think? What was your favorite moment? You can feel free to discuss spoilers in these comments. This is a spoiler video, so if anyone dares read it, it's their fault. So yeah, let me know what you think, and thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button so you can see more videos like this. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button so you don't miss any of my future videos. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.